Hey everybody, this is Benjamin Forney on the Heterodox uh, channel here. The thing about Heterodox Figure, of course, is that the whole idea behind the name is that we can get stronger, we can get better results, more capabilities, more efficiency by considering different perspectives, different, on the same issues, different ways of thinking about the same things that we're doing, right? So, um, actually, in this particular case, it was a story of sorts that is fiction that brought this value to me, and I thought I would kind of share that with you. I won't get lost in the details because they're actually really unimportant in this case, because the lesson I learned was actually from a quest in World of Warcraft. That I'm not even sure how accessible it is these days, but originally it was, on the Horde side at least, there was an area where, of course, the Horde was fighting the Alliance because that is what they do. A nice neutral zone where it's disputed territory, and of course, you have keep over there and little fort over there and little village of palisades and wooden buildings and such. Okay, so in such a town with wooden building, almost looks like a barn or something, you have your inn there, and you've got this little um, wooden deck sticking out a little bit, and then down in the yard below, on because that's up on the hill, on the yard below that's still within the palisade walls, you have a building that you get sent, for a quest to go. I forget if you go into it to pick it up or whether you get sent. Same idea. Punchline is you get there and they explain what's going on. What's going on is that they've got these, little panels on the floor basically that are going to spawn, manifest, apparate, whatever word you want to use there. You're going to pop up these little soldier guys that need medical help. And you get this extra button that pops up on your screen, like give medical help. Okay. But the idea is, of course, it takes a certain amount of time to clear up one of these guys in their injury. But the thing is, they're going to just straight up like disappear, like pass on if you don't take care of them fast enough. So you have severity from the green little markers on them showing that they're not that bad off. Compared to yellow means that they're worse off, and red is like, whoa, if you don't save this guy fast, he's a goner. So the idea, again, on a pure game level, is that you're just supposed to be like, okay, where am I not going to have time to finish helping the broski before he actually passes on, and when is it that I am going to have that time and to where it's well worth it to try to finish that out, right? And again, so simple. It's just a game, and like, oh, well, the obvious strategy that pops out is, well, if the red ones have already been there for a while, they're goners. But if they haven't, then they're more important to get to than than most of the green ones set, and the yellow ones are in the middle there. It's like you cleared up all of the red ones, better start working on the yellow ones, but you better start working on the yellow ones that are not going to expire while you're working on them. So you have to take this knowledge into account, and they make sure it's predictable, unlike the real world. Sometimes, in terms of the game, it's predictable. So again, did I like did was my life changed because I learned how to play this mini game and WoW? Not directly, no. But what it did was that it put into my mind the idea of not just prioritizing like what's most important do first, which is a very one-dimensional view of organizing by priority, but rather the idea is that you can balance multiple things, multiple features, while having minimum standards for each of them. You have what you're trying to avoid for each of them, but then you have relative flexibility in priority between the two in time so that you can fit your actual long-term priorities given the time constraints that you face, which often include I can't start this until this time. I can't, and where did this game come from? This game didn't pull this idea out of nowhere. Well, this comes from the actual medical profession where they have uh, professional standards for who is going to receive the medical attention first because they really need it versus who has been waiting the longest and it's now their turn versus, well, I mean, I know you've been waiting for a long time, but this guy needs it more, whatever. Okay. So again, you have a real world idea that inspired a game that inspired me to think about, well, what's up with this real world idea? Like how is it used in the real world? Like, can I use it in my life to improve my life? And the answer is a big resounding yes. Um, Ever since then, I've made a point, and over the years, I've refined my thinking and gotten a lot more confident about the details of what I think about how how it usually works to try to choose those priorities. But yeah, that's the big thing that I want to bring to the table, though, is that before then I didn't put a whole lot of thought into on what basis am I deciding what order to get things done. And most of the time it probably was into a one dimensionality, either of, well, I'll just do whatever has the first deadline, which works as long as you get everything done by the deadline. Otherwise, if you can't get it all done by the deadline, you better start choosing your high priority stuff and catching the lower priority stuff after the deadline, or just letting it go if it's a missed opportunity. Like, that's the thing, is that unless you actually take the time to think about these things in the first place, you won't be choosing, right? Like, I say my life mottos are live intentionally and live without permission. Um, this is definitely something that is of value to the approach of living intentionally because to the best of my ability, when I'm making decisions that matter in any sort of a long-term way for myself, I am trying to keep in mind what the most important factors related to those decisions are and make sure that minimum standards are hit. And again, like, it's funny, that might seem like overly dry and calculated language, but no. My perspective on that, the more dry and calculated your blueprint, your roadmap is for how you're conducting yourself, the more flexibility there is to add your own individual spin, your own individual expression into how you're choosing. You can even acknowledge at times like, hey, I'm aware that this path has greater monetary value for me, but I'm aware that this path gets me something else that I want. Can I afford at this time to take a little bit less money to get this other thing? Is it worth it given my current situation? And what might be worth it for some situation won't be worth it for another. And that's exactly why I feel like it's insufficient to have some single idea about how important something is or why it's important without having a deeper idea of multiple dimensions on, like, is about when it's important, why it's important, if there's substitutions, if there are steps you could take to push back the deadline, if there might be an opportunity to get it done sooner and get something extra out of it that you haven't thought about yet because you literally just haven't taken the time to think about the situation yet. You're not going to pick up those opportunities unless you are being intentional about your choice, which starts with having the intention of thinking about your choices. So, yeah, like I said, I know it's a little short one here, and it's not actually a very complex idea, but I do think that it's an important one. And just because it seems like a good opportunity, I am going to throw a link in the description to where I did actually. Uh, friend asked me to write a short ebook on the topic of like gaming and its benefits, and I expanded that out a little bit broader to fiction and gaming. Um, but I did go ahead and write that. It's only 13 pages long, including the table of contents, but it is up on Amazon Kindle as a mini ebook for 99 cents. So I will throw that in the link there. And I will say also, I actually have plenty ideas of what videos I would like to make coming up in the future, but I am always up for hearing from you guys. Specifically, if there's anything that you guys wanted to hear about, either, you know, a topic or theme that you wanted me to look at finding a good story for, or if you had a story that you wanted me to take a look at and get my take on, I'm definitely open to that. And frankly, that includes if you have an excerpt from the Bible or a different holy book that you want me to take a look at and get my views on. I am generically happy to take a look, and we will see if I think that the content is something that is what I want on my channel, then I might absolutely make a video in response to what it is that you send me there. So either way, I appreciate you taking the time. And again, like home studio, I just don't see, especially since I'm not asking money from you guys right now on a regular basis. I don't. Um, I don't see investing in a whole lot of additional equipment or anything like that on the video quality. So hopefully it works for you. Anyways, thank you for taking the time. Thank you for listening. Think about your decisions and think about what doors might be opening or closing based on what order you get your stuff done. Take care.